Now, sexual harassment at the workplace, how does one determine whether it is sexual harassment at workplace or not? It is impact versus intent. It does not matter what was your intent. You are looking at me because I look like your daughter. You are hugging me because it's my birthday. You're patting me on my back because I've done really well. It doesn't matter. How did I feel? That's what matters. So if you're going to hug everybody or keep calling random people sexy till you hit the jackpot or you don't hit the jackpot, maybe you've hit 3 women have not liked it. How are you going to know whether they like it or not? Do all women say, like you said, when anyone comes to hug you, you tell them, please don't hug me? Do women also tell another person, please don't hug me? So sexual harassment at workplace is one of the most underreported forms of violence against women. You will just not get data on it. There's not enough research on it. Students are doing research on it. We have got people doing research on it. There is just no data coming because women will not talk about sexual harassment at workplace. It's to do with their career, it's to do with their life. Why? Women are confused. Is this sexual harassment? Physical form of sexual harassment. Second, we did a role play yesterday in which this girl is being sexually harassed and she goes to her mother and she says, Mama, I'm being sexually harassed. Mother says, too bad. It's okay. It happens. It's part of life. Finish your internship. That's another thing which stops girls from reporting. Why do girls going to school and university do not report when they're being stalked or sexually harassed? They don't tell their parents. Why? Because tomorrow the parents will say, you stay at home, or they'll say, why did you turn around? How do you know he was following you? You must have pakka turned around and looked at them. Other thing that women are always thinking is because we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned since we've been growing up. Don't sit like this. Sit with your legs crossed. Don't smile too much. Don't talk too much. We're always conditioned that way. So harassment happens. Then they're thinking, did I do something to provoke it? Did I lead him? Was it my fault? Did I laugh too much? So you're perplexed. Guilt, shame, fear that no one will believe me. Because not always will you have evidence, not always will you have witnesses. In a sexual harassment case, witnesses will turn hostile or there will never be any witnesses. That's the reality because it's to do with your job, it's to do with your career. That's why it's such a grave issue. There is no black and white in sexual harassment. Every case is different. Every instance is different because everybody is different. There's a lot of gray areas. Evidence you will not get. Among 100 people it's happened. In a hall it happens. Where will you believe it? Is it that there were 100 people, yeah? How come he did it to you? Who's going to believe? When Nirbhaya was raped in the bus, what did we say? Why was she out at night? What was she wearing? She was with that boy. Bhaiya, she didn't say. If she had called him Bhaiya, you would have left her. We've always 101 things to tell the girl. So that's why women do not report. Other reason why women do not report is they don't know where to report. And also, if they know where to report, they don't trust the committee. Which is why what we are doing here is trying to create sensitive internal complaints committee in every workplace. Because more than knowing the law, you need to be sensitive. A woman who's coming to you crying and a woman who's coming without crying and putting a complaint on the table, what would one normally think? The one who's crying is the victim bechari. One who's coming confidently is, pakka, she's got some khichdi. She's taking revenge. Right? These are perceptions and thoughts that we have imbibed over the years. So person sitting on the committee has to unlearn, unthink all of that. Easier said than done because it's so many years of socialization. But that's the requirement of somebody who's supposed to sit on the committee. What Beer said was, where's the justice? How are you going to get the justice? That's right. How is she going to get the justice? What is the guarantee that that person sitting on that committee is going to give justice? Because again, it's to do with power of position, and it's a job. So even the committee is working there. So the power of the committee, they have the power of the civil court. It's a constitutionally mandated body. They are independent of the disciplinary structure in the organization. They don't have to report to anybody. They do independent inquiries. They are the inquiry committee. They do independent inquiries and they will say whether it was sexual harassment or not. Okay, but the disciplinary action is only recommended by the committee. Which are you in, ma'am?
In STNM. I mean, I don't actually work there. I'm a consultant. Government hospital.
So are you an employee of the hospital?
I said that as just an example.
But you're not an employee? Sure.
Yeah, I'm a consultant.
So if something happens to you there, then what happens? Whose responsibility is it?
Nobody knows this.
Nobody?
As I said, I'm an outsider coming in.
Are you sure?
But if the internal complaints committee accepts outsider consultants who are not being paid by the hospital as an employee, then I would be protected.
You are not an outsider. You are an employee. Employees, all consultants, interns, volunteers, full-time. If students can be employees under this law, the internal complaints committee of the hospital is responsible for safety security for you. Is there an internal complaints committee in your hospital?
You know, I have no idea.
So you need to ask. So whose responsibility is it to ask? Everybody. You don't have to look at an NGO to ask questions. You don't have to look at the media. It's everybody's responsibility because we are always in a workplace. Either somebody's direct workplace or an extension of your workplace. Who is an employer under this law? We said it's the employer's responsibility. Who is the employer? Who do you think is the employer? Who is your employer in the media?
My boss.
Under this law, anybody who's supervising, managing, controlling people or projects is an employer. So you are also responsible for the safety security of your team, the people working under you. And if you are aware that sexual harassment is happening and you have not reported it, then action might be taken on you or will be taken on you. So it is your responsibility to create that environment. Okay, hospitals are one of the places where sexual harassment is the highest. It's to do with touch. Not only people working there, but patients, patients' relatives, relatives. What about education institutions? Very, very high because it's to do with power. PhD students. This is a global issue. It's across the world. So here we have an internal complaints committee. Do you have an internal complaints committee in your school? Now you have to ask. Only when you ask will there be pressure for a complaints committee to be made. Every school also must have a complaints committee. Okay, we work a lot with young people across the country and do a lot of safety mapping, safety assessments of their schools. We work in universities, we work in different kind of workplaces, and then they assess where are they safe, where are they unsafe, and why are they unsafe. And it's your data. That's when you go and tell the management that we are unsafe because of this. Talking about a school, what is the first thing that should be done? Do we have a committee? Because we have a law. The law came 2013. So you should ask your school, where's our committee?
Is it mandatory for everyone to have a committee?
Yes. It is mandatory for every organization for 10 or more employees to have an internal committee. If you don't have an internal committee, you will be fined 50,000 rupees. Okay. License to practice is going to be revoked.
Ma'am, internal committee for this sexual harassment of women?
Yes, of women at workplace.
And who will be the members of the committee?
Yeah. The members of the committee, the senior most woman in the workplace is the presiding officer. Then you can have either 2 other members or you can have 4 other members. 50% female, 50% male. It's important to have males as well in the committee because it's not a women's issue. It's a labor issue, it's a workers' issue. And when you're in the committee, you have principles of natural justice. You give justice to both parties. And one person from outside, an NGO, the law says NGO, but you can have an academician, you can have an entrepreneur, anybody who is sensitive, who has taken action and leadership on issues of gender justice. Any of them.
And who chooses them?
The organization, the disciplinary authority.
Who is the disciplinary authority?
In their organization, who is the head of the organization is the disciplinary authority. So they choose. So if you are the head of the organization, you will form your committee. But who's going to be on the committee? Not people you like or not people who you think are popular or not senior people. They have to be sensitive.
How do you judge sensitivity?
Because you are the head of the organization, you know all your employees.
What if you're abusing the power?
Yeah, if you are abusing the power, then if you have formed any committee, then there is a third party. There is an outsider. The outsider is someone who doesn't know any employee. And they can then take action and say, I'm sorry, this committee is wrong. I have done it many times. And we ask them to reconstitute the committee. If there is a complaint against the senior most person of the organization, then this committee will not handle the case because it's again to do with power. So that case then goes to the local complaints committee. So it is all of us who have to ask about the local complaints committee. To where is our local complaints committee? Is it functioning? Who are the people there? It's everybody's role, not just the social justice department, because they're there for us. Okay, and if there's no committee, like the school doesn't have a committee, so if there's a case, then it goes to the local complaints committee. So not to form a separate parallel structure where you say, okay, I am the NGO, if there's a case, you tell me, I will solve your problem. Or I am the lawyer, come to me, I will solve a problem. No, the idea is how do you get the system sensitized and active. So you have to ask questions.
A school doesn't have a closed committee, but a teacher or a non-teaching staff helps you with the complaint, like works on it. So does he or she, is he or she doing the same thing like the internal complaints committee?
Ideally, the school must have its own internal complaints committee. Okay, if an outsider is supporting, on what level are they supporting? Is it a parent? You have to go to an existing system. And at what level are you waiting for that man to come and are you going to beat him up around the corner? Is that going to end? He's going to still remain in the school system and he's still going to continue harassing other girls. How are you going to create a structure where he's not there and people like that are not there? So you have to create a system in your school. You have to ask authorities to create that system. That is a must. If someone is helping you, great. But how are they helping you? Are they taking you to the police? How are they helping you? Right? That's also a question. So if I'm being sexually harassed, I have two options under this law. I can file an FIR or I can make a complaint to the internal complaints committee. So this person who is helping you is giving you what sort of advice? To go to complaints committee? Or if it's a parent, they can go to the school and say, there is no complaints committee here. Who's solving issues like this? And you can also go and file an FIR at the same time.